In the last lesson, we learned how to group our results. In this lesson, we're gonna learn how to limit the results by using the having clause. So by checking our query, we are grouping by the job ID and the manager ID, and we are fetching the maximum salary and the average salary for those groups. Of course, I can limit the results with the where clause. So for example, if I want to limit our results for the job ID with the IT prog job ID, this will work just fine, right? But what if I want to limit our results for those groups that have average salary over 5,000? You would think that we can limit that as where average salary is greater than 5,000, right? But this is not possible as we cannot use the aggregate functions in the where clause. So this is where the having clause steps in. And the having clause goes right after the group by, and the syntax is pretty much similar as the where clause. So it's having, and again, the average salary, so the aggregate function we want to limit by, and over 5,000 in our example. And we can see this works completely fine. We got results for our groups which have the average salary over 5,000. Of course, we can also include in our having clause a standard. So for example, we can only having those that have job ID of ITproc, for example. So in our having clause, we can add and job ID equals ITproc, right? And we can see we fetched only results for groups that have average salary over 5,000 and only for the job ID of ITproc. Of course, this part where we do not use the aggregate function could go also in the where clause. So if I move this part to a where clause, like following, so where job ID equals ITproc, I would get completely the same results. And also remember that with the having clause, it is not necessary for the columns that we are using in the aggregate function to be included in the select list of the select statement or in the group by clause. So I could also do some other aggregate function for columns that are not stated in the select list or in the group by clause. Very nice. And again, check the resource, practice out with a couple of examples by desired output, and see you in the next one.